What is an incident? What is a security incident? A security incident is an event that jeopardizes the integrity, confidentiality, or availability of information on systems, information systems, or of the data that resides therein. This includes unauthorized access to systems, it's data breaches, or it's also any activity that could disrupt normal operations. This includes insider threats. In some cases, depending on the definition, it could also include things like the CrowdStrike outage. Whether or not that's an incident depends on the specific definition you're looking at, but it certainly can have significant impact on an organization. But it's important to note that not every security event should be considered an incident or a breach. These are actually legal terms. For instance, a minor login failure due to a forgotten password is a security event, but it's not necessarily a security incident. An employee clicking on a phishing link that immediately takes them to a page that has been blocked by your organization. That would be a security event, but it's not necessarily a security incident. On the other hand, repeated unauthorized access attempts might constitute a security incident, even if they don't get into the network, because it could indicate a potential attack or an attack vector. So understanding the distinction between general security events and actual security incidents is crucial. And it helps to prioritize responses and ensure that the resources are allocated effectively to address genuine threats. Now, the distinction also, which is not on the slide, is what is a security breach or what is a data breach? From the attorney's perspective, these are terms that should never be used. Breach has legal consequences. And if you're talking whether it's internally or whether you're talking to external stakeholders, referring to something as a breach raises the specter of liability. You should always refer to things as a security event until they are determined to be an incident, requiring an incident response team to respond to the incident. So now that we have a basic understanding of what constitutes a security incident, let's delve a little bit deeper into the distinction between security events and security indicators. A security events in general, they occur all the time. They're really the most normal activity that occurs on your network. They're generally benign, but routine logins, and examples of these, routine logins, file access, system updates, things like this are potentially security events. They're activities that are part of everyday operation of an organization's information systems. Additionally, security events could be things that are anomalous. They could be software, not vulnerabilities, but they could be updates that aren't fully consistent with your operating system, or that could cause your operating system to have some sort of minor failure, some sort of minor glitch. These are events. We don't really want to categorize them as incidents until it involves a threat actor, until there are significant downtime, until there are significant impacts to the organization. Unusual security indicators are another aspect and something we need to take into account. Security teams in general are trained to investigate unusual security indicators. These indicators might include repeating failed login attempts, unexpected changes in system behavior, or the detection of malware signatures. And unlike routine security events, these indicators may signal a potential threat or an ongoing attack. And this leads to the importance of monitoring and regular, consistent monitoring. By continuously looking for these unusual indicators, security teams have the opportunity to identify and respond to potential incidents before they escalate into full-blown security incidents or result in data breaches. This proactive approach really serves as the cornerstone to effective cybersecurity. So let's take our discussion a step further. If we look at how security teams involve executive stakeholders in their investigation, this is one of the key determining factors of whether an incident is going to be effectively mitigated and taking into account all the business considerations, or if it's going to be more siloed. And those siloed events can become hugely problematic, which we'll talk about in a little bit, a few slides down. So bringing executive stakeholders into the investigation is important because the security team never operates in isolation. When unusual security indicators are identified and investigated, it's really important to bring in executive stakeholders. And these are everyone from the C-suite to the general counsel to the head of communications to the head of HR to the chief operating officer, or those individuals who have a keen understanding of those business operations and the other operations of the organization. This ensures that leadership is well informed and can provide necessary support and resources throughout the investigation, but it also really gets a different angle on the incident itself. Because the IT team may be focusing on how do we bring the network back up as quickly as possible? How do we mitigate damage? Well, mitigating damage containing the incident itself may have unintended business consequences. Taking down M365, for instance, it may be a good way to stop the threat actor from accessing email. But if the organization doesn't have a backup method or a business continuity plan that's going to enable them to communicate directly with stakeholders, that can be a bad day for the company. And so understanding what the business impact of different IT steps or different potential protocols is critically important. Executive stakeholders also play a really pivotal role in determining the severity of an event. They help assess whether the event constitutes a security incident or, more critically, that data breach. And the distinction is important because it dictates the organization's response and the level of urgency that's required. Effective communication between the security teams and the executive leadership really helps them to make informed decisions quickly. Practicing this and having that be part of your incident response protocol and your incident response plan is important because a collaborative approach is what is going to ensure that the potential risks are evaluated from a technical as well as a business perspective. And that's going to lead to a more comprehensive and effective way to manage the incident itself. So involving executive stakeholders in the security investigation ensures the organization is able to respond swiftly and appropriately, taking into account all the different security and technical measures, as well as the business operations.